Hello, today we are at the TUM, the Technical University of Munich, and we are going to see LiFi applied in a research lab. Hi, so I'm happy to see you again. Could you maybe please introduce yourself quickly and your role at the university?
Yes, so I am Hansini Vijayaraghavan, and I work as a postdoctoral researcher at the Chair of Communication Networks here at the Technical University of Munich.
Cool. And maybe could you a little bit elaborate on the purpose and the focus of this very laboratory here, where we have LiFi equipment installed?
So this particular lab is geared towards researching 6G communication networks, so the next generation of cellular networks. And within this field, we would try to combine LiFi along with the cellular communication to build more reliable, fast, secure 6G communication networks. That's the purpose of this lab here.
Yeah, so you would say that the future goes towards the coexistence of different technologies.
Yes, so the coexistence of different wireless technologies working together to provide the service quality that is required by the users.
So for us as a manufacturer and developer of these products, it's always important to get a feedback, if we can, with regards to mounting equipment in the fields where you use it. Can you say anything about that? Was it difficult to install it mechanically, or is there anything you can share here?
So the installation here was made on these stands, so not exactly directly in the ceiling, but in these stands, which was actually quite useful for us because we would like to also understand how the LiFi coverage behaves when the access point is mounted at different heights. And this is easier to understand when it's mounted on a stand that can be moved easily rather than the ceiling itself. So this was very useful in the way that it was installed here.
Currently, you also use LiFi here on a standard desktop application. So is there any experiences maybe you can share towards the normal use of that system, like just surfing in the internet, or if it's purely used for research and experiments?
So in this lab, we use it purely for research and experiments. There is a desktop application. So here we use it for testing two end devices communicating together using LiFi. So it is sort of a desktop application, but we don't use it for general purpose internet usage, but rather to run experiments on what the performance of these links will be. For different applications, we could use this. What we specifically research here is for using LiFi as one of the wireless technologies in next generation cellular networks.
As I understood, you're using LiFi in parallel to different other technologies. Are you able to share or describe any differences you experienced during the use, especially in comparison with RF-based technologies like Wi-Fi, for example?
So we do use LiFi in parallel with Wi-Fi and also sometimes 5G communications. The difference or the advantage of LiFi here is that there are fewer users that are sharing one access point's resources. So in general, a single user would get higher speeds or higher bandwidths for the performance. And it's also that it's quite secure because you can only access or hack into these access points when you're quite within the coverage area, so within this zone of illumination. So in this way, we have quite secure communications, which is offering an interference-free communication with RF because they don't operate on the same frequencies. So this would be the main advantage and difference, of course, compared to Wi-Fi, for example.
During the use, have you observed any problems in the direction of connection loss or overlap of two different access points? So any performance issues that are worth mentioning here in this context?
So I wouldn't say that they're generally performance issues, but rather just the property of LiFi, that there is a certain coverage area, and let's say at the border of this coverage area, you really have quite poor signal coverage. And of course, outside the area, it completely drops to zero. It's not like Wi-Fi where it could penetrate through walls. However, this is sort of a feature of LiFi in that it also offers security because of this. But yes, this is one of the issues that would be with LiFi.
So I assume as long as you stay in the coverage area and at the defined range, so there is no comparable difference in the user experience compared with Wi-Fi, for example.
Yes, so definitely when you're within the coverage area, within the limits that are specified, and you have full connectivity and probably even higher data rates compared to Wi-Fi because of this fewer users sharing the resources of one access point.
When I try to look a little bit into the future with my limited knowledge about hybrid systems, so me as a user, I would really appreciate using LiFi for higher security and less sharing data rates with other users. When I move out of the coverage area, so I would appreciate to just my device would switch to the next available technology. So is that one of the goals, let's say, or one of the things you do research on here?
Yes, so in this lab, we also do research on seamless connectivity. And we did have a demonstration during an industry day, a public event, where we were able to use these LiFi devices and show seamless transition between LiFi and Wi-Fi for a mobile robot scenario. So this is definitely something that is interesting for us from a research perspective, and also for consumers, this would be quite an interesting area.
So in general, do you see any other interesting applications which would be of worth for academic institutions or similar institutions?
So we use LiFi here to research wireless networks in general, the communication, the connectivity for wireless networks. However, you can also imagine using these LiFi access points to do positioning or localization in indoor environments. I think this is something that's really interesting in an industry setup or a factory setup, where you can do these precise localizations for robots, for moving actors inside the industry using these lights that are set up there already. Other than that, it could also be used just for general purpose networking in lecture halls, for example, in academic institutions. This would make sense to use LiFi, since you already have these light installations, and including a LiFi access point that can also do communication apart from illumination would also be beneficial in these scenarios.
Yeah, so the field of localization or ranging, or so, that would be a research area of itself, which
Yes,
which maybe is also very, very big and pretty new also, right?
Yes, absolutely. So there has been, of course, localization and positioning using RF technology so far, but people are more and more moving towards also using localization with LiFi, and of course this is a completely new research area on its own.
So the difference is really the physical aspect of the signals being able to being contained very easily in a defined environment. So yeah.
Yes, so with Wi-Fi, for example, this spans a few different rooms, an entire corridor, a conference area, something like that. So it's quite easy to hack into the system when not being physically present near the actual system. But with LiFi, due to the constricted coverage area, you have to be physically present in this area to be able to hack into the system, and this is why this is quite secure. Another aspect of security could also be that it doesn't interfere with RF, and this could be highly beneficial in areas where you have or in applications where you have RF sensitive equipment that has to be used. Of course, in aircraft cabins, in hospitals, where you do have these sensitive equipment, and maybe you don't particularly want other RF communications to be interfering with you. So it's a different aspect of security. It's more for the security of the application.
Yeah, so this might be maybe also very interesting for research areas or research labs which do research on RF. In general, not for communication. So if they don't want their equipment to be disturbed, I would say LiFi would be a good option for them, right?
Yeah, so just institutions, not necessarily even research institutions, just institutions that use these kind of RF sensitive devices for other purposes. And if they want just normal internet access within their offices, they could always install LiFi, which would be highly beneficial for them.
Can you describe LiFi in your own 3 words?
Fast, secure, interference-free.
Thank you very much for sharing some insights about your interesting work here and the research done on LiFi in particular, and on LiFi being used in coexistence with other technologies to maximize the user experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.